Happy Saturday morning to everybody. I know this is going to be a bearish look on Bitcoin on my chart. It's more of a concern, and I want to lay it out there. I know I probably won't get a lot of likes or retweets or anything like that because I'm actually showing a bearish pattern, and people's like, "Ah, it's bearish. I don't want to hear any bearish news." But I just want to lay this chart out. And hopefully I have sound this time, and I apologize for the last video not having sound. Kind of annoying when I know it had sound because I can see my mic going up and down on the indicator, but I think YouTube somehow messed it up. I have no idea. However, I believe it's working now, and hopefully you can hear me. But here we go. Bitcoin US dollar daily chart. A few things I have on here. I got an Elliott wave pattern that I'm using as a validator of a possible, pattern that I'm following. I got a couple other lines on here. The black lines are just trend lines. I got a Fibonacci extension here I'm going to show you. This blue line right here is just another trend line. ADX down here. The black line is the ADX indicator that measures the internal trend strength. And then the directional index lines, the green positive directional index and the red negative directional index, with the red negative directional index being elevated above the green. The bears are the ones that are in control of the near-term trend. We're kind of sideways, but a little bit lower when you look at it from all over. But this latest move to the downside shows the bears starting to get into control. So, with that, first thing, one of the things that I've been doing, if you saw my last video, which you couldn't hear, this zone in here, anywhere between 9100 and around 9400, was a buy zone for me, which I did buy. Hopefully, where it gets some bounce in here to get us broken above this trend line is what I'm looking at, this bearish trend line. Once we get a break above this trend line to the upside, I feel like we're going to get out of this consolidation and get some momentum and get this thing going to the upside. But until excuse me, but until then, I'm not really buying much. But I am buying right here just for a chance. It's a very small percentage, but I'm trying it out. But this 9100 or this previous low here is going to be my stop area. I'm going to place stops just underneath this. Because if this line breaks, this is where this whole pattern comes into play. And let me show you what I'm looking at on the Elliott wave. The one with the circle around it is the primary trend. So we had a 1, a 2, and then we had a 3 here, and then we're probably working a 4 here, and then a 5 later on until the end of the year. The next ones are just the Elliott waves fractal in nature. So you look at waves within waves. So when you go from this 2 to this 3, you have a 5-wave pattern in here marked with the 1 with the parentheses around it, which is the intermediate wave. So you go 1, 2, and you got 3 here. You go to 4, and then you got 5 here, which completes this wave, which is between 2 and 3 on the primary. And then it even got extended more since it was a parabolic move. So the move from this 2 to this 3 was also broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There. So the way that's working, that this is a 3rd wave primary to the upside, and what I'm looking at as a possibility, and I'm not saying this is a fact, but I'm using this as a guide to say I need to stop this if it breaks 9100, is an ABC correction, which would be a zigzag, which would be a 1, 2, 3. Basically, it's a 3-3-5 pattern. So you go 1, 2, 3 here, which is an A. Then you got 1, 2, 3, which is a B, and then you got a 1, 2, which could be a 3, a 4 would come up here, and then a 5. So it would be a 3-3-5. So this would be a 5 waves to the downside, which brings up this red zone in here, which the top of the zone comes into play when you look at the high here at B, and then you work down to the low we just had here the other day. And then it pops up. You can look at this as a possible little, pennant type pattern where this comes up, breaks to the downside here. If you take the measurement of this, the full measurement is from 0 to 1 here on the Fibonacci, and that puts us right around 8,000 or so, which is the top of this red range. Another thing is the 61.8% level is right around that previous low, and that could be a spot for some support and for some buying interest, which I'm buying a little and gambling a little bit to see if that holds. But the bottom of this red zone is the 61.8% level when you look at it from the whole long term of the low of 3,100 all the way up to 13,000, and then the 61.8% there is at 72.38 or 31. And then so you got between 7,300 and 8,000 is going to be this big buy zone in here in this range. So that's why I got this red arrow here. If this line breaks, I think we can get down into this zone, and that's where I'm going to be buying a lot more than what I'm trying to buy right here. And an interesting thing is, another thing in Elliott wave is when a wave retraces back, making a 4, it usually ends up retracing back to 1 degree less. So this is a primary trend 4, which would retrace back to the intermediate trend 4. So this whole area right in here makes sense from a pattern perspective. Not to say that it's going to happen, but it's just something that I use as a guideline to help validate some of the other stuff I'm seeing. One of the other things I'm looking at is if this thing gets down toward 9100 and the ADX starts to kick up above 20, which is starting to move, showing early signs, but not enough to really hang my hat on. But it could be starting to break to the upside here to give the bears a little bit more momentum. So if price approaches 9100 and this breaks to the upside, I'm going to be, I already have my stops, but I might be stopping out even earlier if this thing starts to kick in before it even gets to 9100. So that's something I'm looking at. So this would be where I'll be back in the truck up between 7,300 and 8,000 if it gets there. Now this is an if. I'm hoping that it doesn't. I hope we get support here and crank to the upside, and that'd be great. But I'm just showing you what I'm looking at as playing defense. And even though I like the offense and I think we're going to go higher later on, this is a concern that I just wanted to share with you guys of what I'm looking at. But after this 4 and this trend line holds, which I'm hoping it would, because that would make sense at the 61.8% level, that it takes the whole long bullish move to where we get wave 4, and then we go up to wave 5 and break this trend line, and then start kicking back toward previous highs, or maybe even higher as we get into the end of the year. We're talking the end of the year right about here or so, basically about where the 5's at. So if we can bounce from here and start to get some trading going and getting this thing rocking and rolling back up to new highs, that'd be awesome. All right. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I am out on Twitter at FiboSwanny. Just DM me. I'll be happy to help with anything on this chart or any charts that you guys are looking at. If you need some Fibonacci help or anything like that, just reach out. Otherwise, let's hope this holds, and happy trading, and peace out.